Hello, everyone, and welcome to Relative Security. Today, we are going to start another series of educational videos, which will be helpful specifically if somebody is interested in Australian cybersecurity regulations and best practices. So, the first one that we have chosen is the Essential 8. The Essential 8 was developed by the Australian Cybersecurity Centre to help organizations build strong cyber resilience and reduce the risk of and the impact of the cyber attacks. So it was basically built to protect the organization's internet connected IT networks. It all began with the Defense Signals Directorate, as it was known as previously. Now it is known as the Australian Signals Directorate, which published a list of 35 mitigation strategies back in 2010 based on the real world incidents and security testing across government networks. So by 2012, this list was narrowed down to top 4 strategies, which became mandatory for government agencies in 2013. As cyber threats grew complex, the focus expanded from just government to all sectors of the Australian economy. So moving forward, in 2017, the Australian Cybersecurity Centre introduced the Essential 8 maturity model, replacing the old framework with the 8 prioritized strategies to help both the public and private organizations so they can defend against a range of threats, from malicious hackers to accidental insiders. While it is not mandatory for all, the Essential 8 is strongly recommended as a baseline cyber defense strategy for every Australian organization. So let's define the Essential 8 before we move forward. The Essential 8 provides a strategic framework that can be used to build a baseline defense against the cyber risks your organization faces. The Essential 8 was built to protect the organization's internet connected IT networks, as explained before, while its principles can also help with mobile devices and operational tech systems. It wasn't designed specifically for them. So, in those cases, other tailored security strategies might work better to defend against unique cyber threats. So, what is the operational tech systems? Systems that control physical processes like manufacturing, energy, utilities, transport. This can include industrial control systems, SCADA, PLCs, DCS, anything that has to do with the factory floor systems, water treatment control, electrical grid management. These all will come under the ambit of operational technology. And when we talk about enterprise mobility, these are the devices like smartphones, tablets, laptops used for work outside the corporate parameter. So, so that for these two, operational technology and enterprise mobility, there are other security strategies that can be used. The Essential 8 is specifically designed to protect the organization's internet connected IT networks. So IT are your traditional enterprise computing infrastructure that supports business operations, includes desktops, laptops, servers, network equipments, and these kind of things. So let's move forward and understand that what are the different threats that are mitigated by Essential 8. So the first one that comes to mind is the malware execution. It, so these best practices under the Essential 8, if they are implemented as they should be, these can help you block the malware execution. They can block the malicious code and ransomware from running using application control and macro restrictions. It can also prevent attackers from gaining admin level access by limiting and monitoring user privileges in your environment. Furthermore, it can help you to patch those vulnerabilities and reduce the risk of exploitation by applying the necessary timely patches to your applications and operating systems as well. Another threat is the phishing and malicious attachments, which is usually used for the initial compromise. It can stop those harmful macros and untrusted files from executing via Microsoft Office or any other email controls. Then another one is the persistence mechanism, which disrupts attackers' attempts to maintain long-term access by limiting admin tools and remote access. Lateral movement is very important because once they have the foothold in your environment, they will be looking for other network resources which they can compromise. So it also limits movement between the systems inside a network by segmenting access and restricting the privileges. Data theft is, of course, one more threat that is mitigated by this, because these practices minimize the impact by isolating the compromised systems and securing data against the unauthorized access. One more is the insider threat that is not mentioned here, because those controls, when implemented correctly, they will control the access and monitor activity to detect and limit damage from the insider misuse. So another thing to note here is that the maturity levels in a cybersecurity framework represent how well an organization implements, manages, and optimizes its cybersecurity practices over time. Each level reflects increasing capability, formality, and effectiveness of the security program of that particular organization. So, wh- when the organization moves from one level to the next, it means that the company is getting better, more organized, more effective at protecting itself from the cyber threats. So let's talk about benefits that these maturity levels will provide. For example, self assessment. This one is maturity level. Maturity level provides organizations with a structured way to evaluate their current cybersecurity capabilities. This helps identify both the strengths and weaknesses rather than relying on assumptions or incomplete audits. Another benefit is that by knowing your maturity level, organizations can define a step by step improvement path. This prevents scattered or reactive efforts by the organization and ensures the progress is measurable, prioritized, and aligned with business objectives. It can also improve the governance. Many cybersecurity regulations and standards implicitly or explicitly reference maturity, a maturity model that helps demonstrate due diligence and continuous improvement. And of course, with all these steps in place, the mature organizations are better at preventing, detecting, and responding. And not only responding, in fact, recovering from the cyber threats. It ensures that the security controls are not just present but are tested, tuned, and adaptable to evolving threats. Cybersecurity budgets are often limited. However, these maturity models help organizations focus resources where they will have the greatest impact, addressing process gaps before investing in new tools that may not be effectively used. Organizations can compare their maturity levels against industry peers, competitors, or sector baselines. This, hel- this helps justify the security investments to the leadership and align with the best practices or external expectations. So, who is it for then? So, primarily, it is intended for the Australian government agencies because it is mandatory for them. They must comply with the essential aid at a specified maturity level. Usually, level 2 or higher under the protective security policy framework. For other government related and funded bodies, it is strongly recommended. However, it is not mandatory. For the private sector and the critical infrastructure, it is recommended. Not mandatory by law, but strongly encouraged that, especially in a high risk sectors like energy, health, and transport, they should definitely implement these essential 8 strategies. So now that we have discussed about the benefits, who should be using these, what exactly are these different strategies? So we will not go into the detail. We'll just quickly skim them, and then further down the road in the next videos, we will be discussing these eventually. So the first one is the application control. Only lets approved software run. It blocks anything suspicious or unapproved. So in your environment, only those applications will be running which you will be authorizing. Any other application which you do not want in your environment will not be able to run. The second would be patching applications. Keep your apps like browsers, PDF readers, or any other softwares up to date so the hackers cannot exploit any old vulnerabilities or flaws. Then configure Microsoft Office macros. It will like block dangerous macros that can be used to spread malware via Word or Excel files, because usually more often these attackers will be sending phishing emails along with the attachments. So if these macros are blocked, you should be saving yourself a lot of hassle. User application hardening removes risky features from the apps like Flash, Java in browsers to keep them more safe. It also the another essential 8 strategy is the restricting the administrative privileges. Only those people who are authorized should have admin rights. It will limit who can make system changes. This will reduce the risk if any account gets hacked. We discussed about the application control and patching the applications. Another 8 strategy is to patch the operating system as well. Your Windows, Linux, Mac OS, they should be updated to fix any unknown. Sorry, to fix. They should be updated to fix the known security holes. Then another important best practice would be multi-factor authentication, which adds an extra layer, an extra login step. For example, it could be an SMS code authenticator app so that the unauthorized access can be stopped. Regular backups. It ensures that the data is backed. It ensures that the data is backed up regularly and can be restored if it is hit by a ransomware or any other sort of data loss. Now that we know what are these um, essential 8 strategies we have just discussed, let's explain and summarize so that anybody can understand. Because there were different terms used, for example, strategies, maturity levels, control, threat actors. Let's take an example. So the strategies are the main actions that you take to stay safe from cyber threats. Maturity level is a way to measure how well you are doing those actions. And controls are the specific tools or settings that you use to apply a strategy. And of course, the threat actor is the bad guy or the dangerous situation that you are protecting against. Let's take an example to clarify this thing. Let's say there's a school that wants to stop strangers from entering, which is a very obvious thing. So the strategy would be that only students and teachers should come in. What kind of control would you be putting in? The control would be to use the ID cards, and the ID cards should be checked on the gates. So these are the controls. When you map these controls, or your strategy with the maturity level. So we will say that if a school is at maturity level 1, we would assume that the some students have ID cards and the gate is only checked sometimes. Like there's no predefined timetable. They just randomly check the gates. Any school that is on the maturity level 3, they would make sure that everyone must scan their ID to enter and the guards are watching 24 by 7. So you see the difference between the approach of a maturity level 1 organization and a maturity level 3 organization. And the threat actor in this case would be any stranger that is trying to sneak in or cause any trouble. So better your maturity level, the harder it is for the threat to succeed. So I hope this clarifies the basic terms like strategy, controls, maturity levels, and the discussion around the essential eight, because in the subsequent videos we will be getting into further detail that how these eight strategies help us, what is the process around it, what is a maturity model. So stay tuned and wait for the other video, and don't forget to like and subscribe this video as well. Your any kind of action on this video, for example the like or subscription, that will be a very strong motivation for us to keep creating such content and help you guys. Thank you so much.